Sorry, I'm gonna have to start all over again. Okay, so pardon me again, but as a preliminary matter, this is David Sharp, the Visitor Services Coordinator. Permit me to confirm all members and persons anticipated in the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Mary Malaves.
Here.
Sharon Quigley.
Here.
Matt Peel.
Here.
Liz Holland.
Here.
Josh Gray.
Here.
Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Janet Schulte.
Present.
David Sharp, present. Our speaker is not here yet, so hopefully he'll be coming soon. So good morning. This open meeting of the Visitor Services Advisory Committee is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the Visitor Services Advisory Committee is convening by video conference via Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the meeting. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website. Unless otherwise noted, the public is encouraged to follow along using posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to assure accurate meeting minutes. The chair will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they've concluded their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in a conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. After members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment to those members of the public who have joined the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak must state their names and be acknowledged by and speak through the chair. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. That's all I have to say. So.
All right. Thank you, David.
John's in here. He just came in and Peter's in here. So they're coming in.
Welcome, John. Thank you for joining us today. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
He's muted. Now he's unmuting.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning. Hi, John.
Thanks for joining us, John. Welcome to everybody. We need to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Motion to approve December 14th minutes of the Visitor Services Advisory Committee. Do I have a second? A motion?
So moved, Peter.
Okay.
All right. Minutes are passed from December 14th.
Well, I think Liz has a comment on the minutes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I should have spoken up instead of motioning. I just wanted to correct that it was not actually a flight that had the 80 passengers. It was actually 81 passengers on it. It was a Highline ferry. In the minutes, it states that it was a flight.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Does it have to be approved with that notation, Janet?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah,
Motion to approve the amended minutes from December 14th. Do I have a
So
motion?
moved by Peter.
All right, second.
Second.
All right, minutes are approved. Thank you again, John, for joining us. We're interested to hear about your expectations for the coming season, and anything that you'd love to share with us that we can kind of take in, discuss, and hopefully help the industry and the process of as we get closer to the season. Yeah, Janet, how do we want to start? Do we just want to just kind of ask some questions, or John, do you have something prepared?
Nothing prepared. I wanted to just say thank you so much for inviting me. It definitely is a pleasure to serve the community and learn how we can all benefit from each other. So thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. So yeah, I guess to start, maybe just tell us about what you're seeing for the coming season as far as lodging and hospitality goes.
Absolutely. I think one of the big trends that we saw definitely coming back is weddings.
Mhm.
So really is going to take us from June is the bulk of them, and then into September. So that definitely has helped bolster some of our weekend business, especially in September. We've been doing a lot of work with Judy over at Swain Travel, and she has definitely given the forecast that this is going to be another banner summer. It's going to be very busy, and so that is what we are anticipating, what we're preparing for. But also, so I transitioned the Veranda House particularly to be a year-round property, and that's really wonderful to serve the needs and the benefits of the community and all the work that needs to get done. Another thing that I'm doing as we head into Daffy is a locals. So if you are a local or you do have friends that are visiting, we'll do 25% off, and that'll run through Daffodil Festival, which is different. What we typically see is that we don't get the sellout for our large property during a festival like Daffy. And we're seeing that Islanders are now starting to open back up where they have family and friends that want to come and visit. So we want to make sure that we hit that market and that we're accommodating for that. But I just anticipate this is going to be another a marathon, so to speak, of a season, and just making sure that we have the staffing and everything to align ourselves with that. But it's going to be very busy.
Great. Any questions from the group?
Josh, I have a question.
Sure.
I have not personally had the opportunity to meet you, John. Can you tell me exactly what properties you are overseeing other than the Veranda?
Of course, Mary, it's nice to meet you. So my parent company is TPG Hotels and Resorts. They are a family based in Rhode Island. They're really lovely Italians. I'm an Italian from New Jersey. So I oversee the Veranda House, the Chapman House, and the Regatta Inn, which is how I got to meet Matt, my neighbor over at American Seasons, and now he's at FedEx Ground, which is awesome. And recently we acquired the Sherburne Inn from Karen McCumber. Love that property, and we're currently doing a full renovation on that, so that'll be up and running for the upcoming season. We have 2 additional guest rooms that we're converting. So the downstairs office space is being converted into a suite. And then eventually the garage that's on the side of the house will also be a little bit of a bungalow, but island-wide 56 rooms.
Wow.
Thank you. I thought it was important to have that recorded.
Thank you.
This is Peter. I have just a general point I wanted to make. From what I've been reading over the last 6 months, banner year for weddings is an understatement. And my question is, do you have, I'm starting with the premise that anybody who's having a wedding on Nantucket has got to have had 80 to 90% of whatever they have to arrange done, at least find a vendor who's available. Do you have any indication of the tempo of this? Like, is it beginning in, April and extending through December? Any bookings that would suggest that you've got large groups that have already blocked out rooms and are going to basically saturate the island?
Absolutely. Well, to kind of answer your question, I think that speaks to how I feel about the house, which is that I kind of tend to stay away from wedding groups. There's no discounts on Nantucket. And so it's like all of the work that needs to go into it. So we're very particular with who we choose to do business with. Typically it's friends of the hotel. So like our next door neighbors, we're doing a wedding group block for them. Beyond that, we just say that everything should just be booked through the website and based on availability. I can say from our competitors that they're very much booked for June. So I think June is going to be a big bulk of the wedding season, and then September. I can give you more specifics. September is where we've pulled the bulk of our weddings. And I want to say that for each of we've reserved it for one group per weekend, and it's usually about 15 to 20 rooms. So it's about a third of my inventory. Does that?
Okay. I'm making the point that I think we don't have any radar out there that's capturing what's going to happen. And most of the shooting match is probably already over.
Peter, I could speak to that a little bit. I'm the president of the Photographers Association on the island, and I would say most of the wedding photographers are almost fully booked for 2023 already. 2022 was pretty much fully booked as of last fall for a lot of them.
Yeah,
and most of their seasons would run April through November.
Sounds good.
I can tell you at First Congregational Church, we've got 6 weddings in June. And then we start up again in late July through August, heavy in September, a lot of double bookings on Saturdays in September, and right through to November. So 22 weddings is a lot for one minister. So we've gone out and found a second one to help out with some of those.
Yeah. So this kind of, I guess what I'm getting at, and I don't want to pursue this at all, but this kind of invites the notion of we're looking at wanting to focus on maybe crisis preparation rather than can we handle all this, because the shooting match is over. All that has to happen now is the wedding. But what can happen is lots of things can go wrong, stranded passengers, the whole schmear. And I don't even know how much of that we want to get into, but just a footnote from what I've seen and read, you've got a year's worth of weddings that are being crushed into, an extra year, basically.
Right.
Yes.
Hi, I just wanted to say that I probably could find out a little bit more information about that, because NIT, with our buses, they actually, of course, Cranberry Transportation as well, they'd have a really good idea about, what the flow is going to be like. And I can find out from Rick and, report back.
I guess the general question I'm posing is, we may find ourselves facing an extraordinary total lack of capacity in certain areas where that has never happened. And I'm just trying to say, let's at least noodle about it, think about it on our own as we go forward, and anticipate if there's anything we might do about it, or at least not just to warn people, but are there any steps that visitor services might easily take that could mitigate what's probably going to be a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. And I will say, in reading your notes with the stranded ferry, on a sold out Saturday night, it was the first weekend in August. And I think it was the first time that visitor services had posted a sign that said there's no rooms on the island, had a sewer backup. And I had to shut water to the entire Regatta Inn, which was 15 rooms. We were able to relocate 4 guests, but when the entire island was sold out, I had 9 rooms that had no water. We mitigated did it well. We obviously was an insurance claim, but I understand sort of what it like what needs to happen when you think about the capacity issues of the island.
Yeah.
Matt's got his hand up.
Go ahead.
Yeah, question. Morning, John. Good to see you. It's been a while. I got Richard in the office as well. He says hello. So two questions for you. One, what are you seeing out there for you guys and for some of the other hotels and stuff as far as staffing? What's the feel for it? And I don't know, I can't remember if you guys do visas as well. I don't know what the kind of climate or what the visas are coming through for the H-2Bs, things like that. Just kind of curious about that. And then second, kind of more curiosity as well. What's the average daily rate for like July and August kind of compared to last year? Maybe with inflation, things like that. Are we seeing and just the pure popularity of the island, are we seeing a pretty large increase in the average daily rate compared to last year?
Yes. I think what we saw going into last year, Faraway was just coming onto the market. So I think that they were sort of feeling out rates at that. That now there's been more solidification that's led to higher rates. What's also led to higher rates is that we held off on rates. We did a lot more promotions last year. We really weren't sure what the 2021 year was going to look like. And all of a sudden the vaccines kicked in as we got into Q1 and Q2, things opened up. Then the mask mandates happened for August. So we were kind of building the airplane as we were flying it, so to speak. I would say going into this year, demand is definitely there. Where we're seeing the largest rate increase is going to be over May and June, because we're seeing those bookings happening now. As opposed to the last 2 years, the booking window shifted from like 90 days plus, where you'd go into the season knowing what you were going to make, to a 15 to 7 day window. So sort of that last minute booking. So I'd say rates are last year rates were up 33%, and I anticipate that to be probably an additional 20% over last year. So that's there. In terms of H-2B visas, I've been conservative just given the climate geopolitically, so I haven't taken any in, and I've tend to source locally from the island. We, as TPG, doesn't do any sponsorships, but that doesn't mean that I won't pull someone from NIR that's sponsored to do a PM shift with me. One of the discussions that we've had with the Lodging Association was being more proactive with staffing and pooling and creating a bit more of a pool and a network so that you can have someone work at Faraway in the AM and then come to me in the PM. There definitely is an appetite for that. The discussions I've had, particularly with Mark Anthony at Faraway and then Garrison Beal over at Graydon House.
Well, if they're ever looking for a morning job, send them over here to FedEx.
Cool.
John, is there time periods where your 56 rooms are already completely booked or close to?
I would have to circle back on that, and I can kind of give you a bit of a flow chart of what the season looks like so far. If you look back at the 2021 season, we started selling out every weekend, and then that ran through August. So June is really like where we teed off.
Okay. Great.
David, unmute. David, you need to unmute.
All right, Josh, just so you know, I reached out to Mark Anthony Crimmy to help to join this conversation, but he has not responded back. So John's been very gracious to be our solo innkeeper to talk tonight.
Oh, great. I just because I'm dealing with Faraway for Dreamland, I think Mark Anthony's on vacation. That's probably why he didn't get back.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I have a question, John. It seems to me that the way that the lodging establishments are changing is that there are more of them coming together under one owner rather than individual ownership. Do you see that having an impact on the visitor experience?
I understand why there are headwinds and hesitations. I think that there's two folds to it. The first fold is that there is an increase of offshore money that's coming onto the island. And I think that that's giving a better experience. It's updating these bathrooms. It's putting more into the physical product that maybe a mom and pop didn't have the capital means to do. From my circumstance, I've been coming to this island for 10 years, and I always feel like, Nantucket is a place that calls you. You don't just show up. And so it's bringing that soul into the property I define myself and I define my properties. We're authentically Nantucket. We're not trying to be anything that is not aligned with the island, and being part of these conversations is important to me and to my brand. And so that's how I would answer that question, if that answers it for you.
No, that makes sense. I was just curious because we've certainly seen that in the office that the coming together of properties rather than the individual ones. And I wonder if that's going to have an impact on the future of the lodging association. But you mentioned that you've been meeting or had conversations among each other.
Yes, so I definitely think sort of foreshadowing that there will be some changes over at the Lodging Association. Harrison and Mark Anthony and I have had a meeting to talk about what the future looks like, as well as, with what next steps are for Jamie. And, I think that we're excited to, in a way, I'm Nantucket, but at the same time, I do have some corporate experience and all of that, which I'm sure everyone here does. So it's the ability to bring some more structure to the island, better planning, better systems. And I think that benefits everyone. And staffing is a huge part of that. So our ability to really attract and pull top talent is going to benefit everyone, from food and beverage to service to the hotel industry.
Well, keep us in mind.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I think at the end of the day, especially us as from the conversations I've had with operators on the island, we're all going to sell out. We're all going to do really well. So it's how do we benefit each other and support each other. And that's what I've seen just being part of the community and the hospitality industry. So we want to keep that flame very much alive.
Well, do keep us in mind when you have meetings, because we have always had a close relationship between culture and tourism and the Lodging Association, so that we can be
absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else? Right.
I'm just running a quick report so that I can let you know sort of what the season looks
Oh, sure.
like here.
Thank you.
I think we ought to include you in our discussion for stranded passengers, John, so.
Absolutely. And, that's something also, like I always say, there's always the joke, there's always the next ferry. But when we do have passengers that are stranded here, we definitely, we do discounted rates. I'm for the people. We totally get, we get it. Like, you're here because you don't choose to be here. But looking at, so near sellout rate right now, it looks like the weekend of June, starting on June 22nd to the 25th, looks like that's going to be there's a lot of demand for that weekend.
So that's Film Festival.
That is Film Festival, yes. And we are doing a donation of rooms for them. So that looks like a big one. May 13th and 14th. And then getting into June.
Okay. And Wine Fest is back this year. I think, though, it's more like the 19th, 20th, something like that.
The 20th, I'm also seeing a bit of a kick up with what's on the book so far. And I would say the aggregate for the entire season right now, my average daily rate is around 600.
Okay.
I've reached out to the Wine and Film Festival. I haven't really, they've been unresponsive. So do you have a contact there?
It's Janet, correct me, but if I'm wrong, but I believe Nancy Bean is still running it. You know,
Yes.
Okay.
okay, so yeah, if you have her contact, I'm not sure. I don't have it handy, but I think it's just Nancy at Nantucket Wine Fest. But yeah, she'd be the one to talk to for sure. But you're right. I've only heard that it's happening, but their website wasn't updated last time I checked or anything like that. So I was just curious.
Yeah, it's Nancy at nwfest.net.
Okay.
nwfest.net. Thank you, Sharon.
You're welcome.
I think the White Elephant did post something about it
Oh, okay.
because of, scaling back on venues.
Right.
I think they're taking the lead.
Gotcha.
Josh, I have one more question for
Sure.
Don. First of all, thanks, Matt, for asking my question. I was concerned about the increase in rates because of the cost of doing business out here. And if you do pull locally, then, you get away from that housing requirement that most employers, have to have with a secondary house. But I would hope that your work with Lodging Association would work with us in creating a little small subcommittee to deal with stranded passengers. Lodging,
Absolutely.
I think that would be the way to go. Since, there's a lot of people out there that have done this before. And I think you could, learn from some of their expertise. Things change, of course, every year, but I think it's interesting to make sure that you do have the staffing needs, because if we're charging more than lower ADRs for people, we need to make sure the service level is there, or we're going to lose them. They'll be one and done, and they'll go somewhere else. I think we'll be very busy this summer, and I think the hotels are going to prove it, but you're also going to see some travel out of the country, probably not to Europe with the conflicts going on. But I think people are feeling a little more confident about traveling, more than a tank away from their home base. I think if you look at your zip codes, probably 80% of the businesses from New England are the ones that fly in. So thanks, John.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mary. And I would love to, I think that makes sense. And it's that question of like, who do I call when I have 15 displaced guests? I call Jamie Holmes and he sends it out. But again, having some sort of contingency plan and a committee would really benefit.
Yeah, because that's basically what lodging has done for years. Who's got the most inventory and who may be empty if their people can't get in? So, it works.
This whole thing about contingency plans is kind of the point I'm trying to get at here. And I don't have any concrete idea, but I just want to emphasize that with this kind of a summer coming, it's the good news. And there's also the prospect for lots of people to go away with that bad taste in their mouth. And I'm not saying that we can handle even half of that bad taste, but where we can identify an opportunity for contingency plans. And for example, I would give the one about having somebody at the airport who is the face of who you go to say, what do I do about this problem? And even if they can't solve it, having the face there leaves a different impression, which raises a question. Are we going to have some presence at the airport like we did last year, or, on that kind of a model that there is a person that you go to instead of just a rack of, here's some stuff, good luck with finding out what to do. We're trying to help you.
David?
Yeah, I plan to have staff at the airport. I'm one of my staff there is very good about trying to help with passengers, although it's airport, at least the airlines are the ones who really are responsible in trying to get those people back out and even find something nearby. It's a sticky wicket, and the thing is that they only have so many hours out there. But in general, we've been pretty good about trying to help out and give them the information as best as possible.
Yeah, my point is that I think the way we were handling it the last time around was that we had a face there, and that was the important thing. And the face was able to deal with a particular problem, like, should I wait around and hope I get on a plane, or should I head now for the ferry? And that person could give them the information and say,
Well,
you got a
e-
shot for the ferry if you want, here's the information.
even if they're not there, there's information at the desk that they can find and
Right.
that they can take away.
Right. And that's kind of the best we can do with, if you don't have a face there. But I'm just saying, if we can identify these niches where just doing something can make a difference, because we're going to have a lot of that this summer. I think probably more than ever.
Just wanted to make a point about the airport. I've been in more discussions with Johan Rodriguez and also bringing Philip along. Johan is the manager for Cape Air, and Philip takes care of JetBlue, and I'll be meeting with them within the next couple weeks, so that even because of the time constraint of visitor center people at the airport, they will be the ones that will be able to help people. They have in the past. It's just that now hopefully we'll be able to come up with a contingency plan, and obviously they will be able to be part of that, and they're looking forward to that.
I think just giving them a protocol and just say, here's a problem, here's what you can do to solve it. The stuff is on the counter. That, as long as they know that's as far as I want to go.
I had a quick question for John. John, do you guys speak to the real estate agents about their kind of open availability, if there's any sold out, or for their rentals at all? Or do you guys get any kind of inventory numbers at all, or has there been any communication between the two?
No, there hasn't. Friendly with the realtors here on the island, but there is not that sort of back and forth. But there's definitely opportunity for that, and so I'm definitely happy to explore that for the benefit of us.
Yeah, I know, because we've talked about it here in the meeting before, but I think that'd be great to get some people from the real estate agents that can kind of give us, or give you guys kind of communication when there's sold out nights or overbooked, anything like that, that saying, here, here's a rental, there's room here, other than Airbnb or VRBO. So
Definitely.
a lot of those, quite a few of their rentals aren't on those sites as well.
Just so you'll know, through Josh, that's my day job. And right now we are hard pressed to find rentals at all for the summer. So take that, and it would be only the case of who's going to come in, who's going to take care of it, getting to homeowners, getting it. I mean, it's not as easy, especially when something's already been booked for 7 nights, and maybe the boat doesn't run one day, but they'll arrive the next. So, but yeah, I am desperately looking right now for rentals and can't find them.
Mary, is that you're missing previous inventory that no longer is available, or that everything's just been booked?
Combination of both. Some homeowners that did rent in the past weren't here because of COVID and travel, and now they are. So they're going to use their own home, which makes perfectly good sense.
Right.
And then some people, because they had a hard time last year, booked last year before they left.
Wow.
And Josh, I want to add to that, because I have a neighbor who's a real estate agent, and they say that the inventory is very low this year even for sales.
Wow. Great. Anything else for John? All right, John. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to finish up by just going over some business, but your information has really helped us and informs our future conversations. And we definitely love to have you back for, when we have the discussion about, stranded passengers and things like that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me. However we can support each other. Totally here for that. We're hosting a chamber after hours in April. So otherwise, please stop by. I'm at the Veranda House with my dog, Stella. So she's a bit of a celebrity around here, but
thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
All
Thank
right.
you, John.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Have a good morning.
You too.
Aye.
Bye. All right. Janet, director's report.
Sure, thank you. I'm gonna mostly talk about cultural stuff and David will pick up with the visitor services stuff. The district has provided 5 grants funded by the Mass Cultural Council to 5 organizations. We are still working on a new website. It's coming along pretty well. I think we'll have a launch in April. We've approved a new logo and branding for the district, and we are developing this idea of putting a kiosk with our new website and calendar at the Thomas Macy Warehouse on Straight Wharf, so people can walk in and see what's going on and get access to events and purchase tickets through the QR codes that will be up there. So this has been in development for almost a year now. And I took it slowly because I wanted to do it right rather than to do it over. And a lot of thanks to Werner Gonzalez and Marina Jube, who really carried the heavy weight on that. We are revising the 4th of July. I think you've heard about that a little in the paper, and if you've been listening to Select Board. I'll be taking our programming ideas for Parks and Recs for what we're going to be doing at Children's Beach, which is basically moving the former Main Street activities to Children's Beach and putting new activities around Main Street that include food trucks in the morning so people can get some breakfast. The sustainable Nantucket Farmers Market will be on Chestnut Street. I think it's Chestnut. No, it's not. It's the next one over, Cambridge. And an entrepreneur showcase will be at the Athenaeum, headed up by the Chamber. So we've got a nice collaboration going on with different organizations. And Nisha is going to join us at Children's Beach, not with a dog parade, but with some kind of programming about pet adoption and that kind of activity. And then there'll be a controlled water fight between the 2 fire companies. And we're working now to get outreach out there to tell people, don't bring your bazookas or your water pistols or your water balloons. Don't bring anything to do with water because they'll be confiscated or somehow addressed. And I have to say the new Parks and Recs manager, Charlie Palaki, has taken the lead on organizing and coordinating the Main Street activities. So there's a lot of conversations going on. We've had a couple meetings, and David pointed out at the last meeting or after the last meeting that this is probably the most organized we've ever been for the 4th of July. So that might be a good thing, and it might all fall apart. The local cultural council, which is different from the district, they get money from the state that they give out to cultural organizations and individuals. They're planning to have an awards recognition event for people who received awards in 2020, 2021, and 2022, because COVID hit just at the time we were going to have that first set of awards. So we're meeting this afternoon to plan that. It'll probably be at the White Heron Theater in late April, as a way to both promote the Cultural Council and what they do, and to recognize the great activity that several of our nonprofits and individuals are doing on the cultural scene. And finally, well, not finally, but the next item is One Book, One Island starts on March 18th through April 3rd. The book is The Midnight Library. There are copies floating around, and there'll be all sorts of programming going on related to the different themes in the book. And it's a pretty exciting opportunity. And then I have a lifestyle change announcement to share with you today. I have decided to resign my position as Director of Culture and Tourism, and will be working on a part-time basis, still to be determined for the town. It's just, I feel like I've done a good job setting up the foundation of the cultural district. The Visitor Services Center runs like clockwork. And as I continue to deal with hips and backs and stuff like that, I've decided to scale back a little bit. And so they've received my resignation. I'm going to stay on until we hire a new person and then transition them to the new job. It has not been announced yet publicly, but I wanted you to know before it got out there, so you didn't read about it first in the newspaper. And that's my report. I'll take any questions.
Oh, well, thank you, Janet. Obviously, I think we'd all agree you've done a lot for this department and for the district, and so yeah, we're gonna miss you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for all you've done for all of us on the island.
Likewise, but you'll leave us your phone number, won't you?
I think you'll see me around.
Good, good.
All right, David.
Okay, I submitted the stats for December as well as the total year for 2021 and the January and March stats. One thing I wanted to point out for December that is not really in there. As you know, the restaurant list is very popular. During Christmas week, there were 5,854 downloads to the restaurant list for Christmas week, which I thought was quite interesting compared to the total of 8,000 for that, almost 9,000 for the month. And for the year, looks like we're slowly rebounding from 2020. And this year, it just looks like I think we're going to be doing much better, as John indicated. The stats for the total CUME stats for 2021 are there. So if you have any questions on that, I'd be happy to answer those in a minute. The January stats pretty much are kind of self-explanatory. And again, the restaurant list is leading the way with everything. And then February, our numbers were down slightly a little bit. And I think that's to do with a lot of the weather. But the one thing I wanted to point out, if I just had this somewhere, is you got a copy, actually a PDF link of our new travel and lodging brochure. The last time we printed it was 2020 and way before everything happened. And so we are getting around to printing a new one for the year. And this is what it looks like. I'm sure you've seen the cover on the PDF link. The cover photo I found actually in early January from Bill, permit me if I pronounce this wrong, Bill Honk photography. And it came up in one of those like morning newsletters. And it was like, I was looking for something for Brant Point that would bring back everybody after COVID. And I thought this sunset scene was just perfect. So it really turned out very well. And I'm quite pleased with it. And I hope everybody is able to use it the right way. The other thing is, I want to circle back to February. You may notice that the downloads is not mentioned in here because the town has switched from one analytical platform to another, and it's going to take a little while for that to get back up and running. So I'll have February stats for you at the next meeting in April. The other thing I wanted to mention is one of the things we plan to do this year is restart the Children's Beach Recreation Coordinator activities down on Children's Beach. I am interviewing a student next Tuesday, so we should know a little bit more. The other thing is that we reached out to the guidance office at the high school of which this student came from. And they are willing to post the information. So, hopefully we'll get either some students or college students that might help out and get at least the tie-dye clinic and the Friday night movies and some of the other stuff going again, because I'm sure there's going to be demand for it. And then last thing I want to mention is that our office is still open Monday through Friday for the winter. And that we will reopen for Daffy weekend, hopefully both Saturday and Sunday. And then from there on out, we'll start working to get the office fully open 7 days a week by June. So, and we'll have hopefully enough staff for that too. So that's all I have. So if anybody has any questions, please let me know.
Anyone? All right. Unless anyone.
I got a quick question.
Sure.
What I've talked to a few people around town who are under the impression that there is going to be some sort of Fagawi event here. My understanding is there's nothing here. Is that true? And I'm wondering if we're seeing a tick in bookings, people thinking, because I haven't seen a lot of, information out there on the Fagawi, but my understanding is all in Hyannis.
Well, my understanding is that they're not going to have the party tent this year because they don't want to give the large crowds gathering. That's the extent of from what we understand here.
Yeah, I've heard what David's heard. That they're not having the party tent, but they are having the race. Last year they came and raced and went right back. So I don't know what the plans are for this year, whether the sailors will stay or just turn around and go back.
Well, that's what I thought I read. I don't know if it was in the paper or somewhere that the race is going back to Hyannis, wherever they're racing, it ends back in Hyannis. And then they're having the party and all that at the conference center or whatever over there.
Yeah, that's what I've heard as well. It's just the race and then no organized festivities on Nantucket.
Just so you know, they do have their own website. It's just fagawi.com, and it shows all the registration and what they're doing.
Oh, great. All right, anyone else? Then I think we can make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Peter.
Second.
Second, all right. Thank you all. I'm sure we'll be meeting on this Tuesday next month as well. Janet, is there anything on the horizon for a guest?
I haven't thought about it yet.
Okay,
If you've
totally
got
fine. So,
if anyone's got an idea, let me know. And we'll start talking to people.
all right. Well, thank you all. Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Thanks.
bye.
Try to get out of this. Hold on.